Being yourself is definitely the most important thing, even if you feel like you see everyone else doing something different. If you just be yourself, eventually people that are like you will come.
Emmy, better known as Emiru.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is so cool.
I'm so excited to have you and talk about so many of the barriers that you're breaking across the gaming industry. You were nominated for Streamer of the Year the past 2 years at the Streamies. You are one of the most watched creators on Twitch, especially as far as female streamers goes. Do these accolades or titles mean anything to you, or how do you feel like you've gotten to this point?
It feels very strange because I've been streaming for 10 years and doing content for 10 years, and I still kind of just think of myself as someone that, I'm playing games and sharing my hobbies and stuff, and then if people like it and want to watch and hang out, then that's great, but like I never really expect anything, so it's kind of crazy. I don't really think about it that much, honestly, so it's kind of weird hearing it said like that.
Totally. Well, you have about 7 million people who are coming to watch your content that you're just doing for fun. How has it been over the past 10 years in this industry? So much has changed. What has it been like from your experience?
Well, I don't know if like the people watching really know a lot about streaming. So streaming started literally just as like people who like playing video games or sharing other things, mostly video games, just in their rooms with their friends sharing it. And now 10 years later, or more than 10 years later, it's like basically involved into like a lot of streamers are collabing with celebrities and doing a lot of crazy stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys know, like Kai Cenat, he just got a million subscribers on his Twitch channel, and like he has all these crazy people like Tony Hawk, and yeah, it's just crazy. Things have changed so much because yeah, for me it's like, I'm just a girl in my room.
Yeah, but within this, there have been so many new opportunities for business and to make it your career, not just hobby anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When do you feel like that switch happened for you? When did it become your career?
Well, for me, like, I was just doing it instead of going to college because I was like, well, I can just do it and make money, and then, I can go finish my degree whenever I want, but that never happened. But over time, as streaming started getting more and more popular, a lot of different industries started, getting involved with streamers, like game publishing or just general marketing, things like that. We're like, hey, we want to work with, streamers and content creators. So yeah, that's also been a really, really big shift over the years. Like, I've worked with game publishers and brands like Red Bull and like clothing brands, like all different kinds of things.
You were just signed with Red Bull. Can you tell me a little bit about that partnership and what that means within the industry?
Well, Red Bull, for the most part, has been more in like, sports and things like that. But they've also, like a little bit lesser known, been working in esports. But they've been spreading more into the creator space a little bit and wanting to do like projects and really fun events that people can watch. So I think like over time they'll be doing more of that, and hopefully I'll be doing that with them too.
It's so cool. You started, like you said, 10 years ago in 2015, streaming League of Legends, correct?
Yep, that's right.
How did you get involved in the gaming community to begin with?
Well, I've been playing games since I was, I think, 6 or 7 years old, like a lot of people. And then I got into League. League is the first online game that I played, and since it's online, you just naturally meet a lot of people and make a lot of friends. And, I made a lot of friends that, got me into streaming, and then I met streamers through doing all that, and just over time, it's just, yeah, it's grown a lot.
When was the first time that you got paid or had a brand deal, or again, like going back to this transition from it being a hobby to it being your job? Do you remember the first time that you like realized that this is something that you could make money through?
Well, how it starts for pretty much all streamers, or like how it was back then, is it was kind of this realization like, oh, we can, play games, and if people like watching and like hanging out, then they might like subscribe or donate. So it was literally like, I remember like my first Twitch paycheck was like $200 or something, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is so cool, like I'm making something for doing what I want to do. And then I think that my first sponsor was an energy drink company. And that just like blew my mind. I was like, wow, I can't believe that, people want to work with streamers. But I mean, it makes sense because it's the platform that you can reach a lot of people and share different products and different fun things to try. So.
Do you remember what you spent that first $200 on?
Mm, probably more stuff for my stream.
Love it, love it.
Yeah.
How has your content changed over time? Because the industry at large has changed
Mhm.
a lot. More platforms have come into the market.
Yeah.
What has that meant for the content that you're creating?
Yeah, well, like I said, it started as people mostly playing video games, but now when you look at the top streamers, they're just straight up entertainers for the most part. Like they're hosting events and going out in the world and like doing all kinds of crazy things. So over time, I've transitioned into, I still really wanted to stay rooted in gaming, but now I like to try a lot of different games and I
Mhm.
kind of view it in a way of like, oh, like sharing like, this is a new game that came out. People want to see things about it. So I'll do that. Or I do like doing events. Like I host things like big global cosplay contests. And I like going to conventions, like anime conventions, cosplay conventions, and streaming those and meeting people there.
I want to talk about the cosplay side of everything. You have become very, very known for your cosplay content. How did you get into this kind of sector of the industry?
Well, I've been like playing dress up
Mhm.
since I was like I think 7 or 8 years old, but back then it was just like Disney princess costumes and stuff like that. But I was obsessed with it. Like my mom, she bought me like 5 or 6, and I would try to wear all 5 or 6 at once, and I'd
Mhm.
be like, "Look, mom, look," and so that's how it started. But just like so many other things that start as just like different interests or hobbies for people, online, you can meet people that are interested in those things too that you might not be able to reach in real life. And then you can gain big audiences from that. So, I started cosplaying online and meeting a lot of people there. And it was always just about sharing a hobby
Mhm.
and interacting with other people. But then over time, as I became more of a streamer and started being able to work with companies, I wanted to do the cosplay contest because I really like seeing other people's stuff that they make, so I wanted to be able to give money back. So what we do is like we'll find a brand that wants to support it and then we'll give like hundreds of thousands of dollars away to talented artists and creators that enter.
What are you most looking for in this contest? Is there like a specific style that you're really drawn to or a specific side of creativity that you feel like typically wins?
Well, I feel like with any kind of artistic hobby, there's obviously all kinds of different skill levels.
Mhm.
Like there are people that are very professional or people that are more casual, but it's still, what they love doing. So we try to give awards and funding to people of all different talent levels. So we'll have like the craftsmanship category, which is for people that are like Hollywood level crafters or like sometimes even better. But we'll also give it to people that, they just want to make something silly and fun to make people laugh.
How has the relationship with your audience changed, especially as you're saying you've gone from being fully online to then in real life with a lot of these people?
Mhm.
What has that meant for how you're able to generate new audiences, engage with the people who follow you?
Well, streaming is a very it's really different from most other like entertainment industries because you're very connected to your audience
Mhm.
compared to other places. Like an actor or a singer probably isn't really getting to directly interact with their audience much besides maybe like Instagram or Twitter. But for streaming, literally the whole time you're live, you're talking to people in chat. So there's like a lot of pros and cons to that. Like I really really like my community. I like being able to talk to them. But then it can also invite like a lot of strange things like people that are very invasive or stalkers or things like that,
Mhm.
which does happen in other industries, but it's a lot more prevalent in streaming for sure.
Definitely. And as a woman in the space too, I'm sure that this is an increased kind of concern of yours. How do you maintain your like safety and make sure that you are, putting up the right barriers while still connecting with people?
Mm, well, in a lot of cases, it's almost like there's kind of nothing you can do, and you just kind of have to do your best to take care of yourself and take care of your friends. Like I've had a lot of things happen to myself or happen to my friends. Like even just recently, there was some like discussion online. I don't know if you know who like I'm sure you do like Pokimane and Valkyrie. They were talking about how they didn't want to attend one of the big streamer events because security is such a big
Mhm.
concern, and a lot of people like didn't really understand that. But it is a very like prevalent and crazy thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure too, like we all have parasocial relationships with
Hmm.
celebrities we follow or, influencers online. But to your point, we're not always talking with them. And I'm sure
Hmm.
that that adds a whole nother layer of people feeling like they know you.
Yeah, it's strange because in the past, like when talking about stalkers or people fixating on celebrities, it would be people like, like Britney Spears or Miley Cyrus that are like kind of they are so like out of reach in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. but a lot of people feel like they have direct access to streamers. So especially in the case of people who, might be mentally ill or like, maybe, don't really like women, it can be a lot more scary.
And of course, there are many of these concerns, but you obviously are still in this industry because you love it and there's a great community as well.
Yeah.
Who is the majority of your demographic today? Who are the people that are following you and watching along with your streams whenever you create content?
Well, I think for me and then just the streaming community in general, most of my audience is people in their 20s and early 30s. And then it is definitely a lot more heavily male dominated since it's more of like, a gaming space. But I have noticed that over the years, it's become a lot more welcoming to women compared to when I first started. Like, I remember when I first started streaming, there were a lot of other girls streaming on Twitch, but the environment was just not very welcoming. Like, I would be streaming League and every like 5 or 6 messages would be like a sexist or hate message. And I would have friends who'd be like, oh, I wanted to start streaming because I saw you were doing it. It looked so fun, but I couldn't handle the chat in the comments. But I just have very thick skin, I think.
And I think this is something that women across industries feel, right? Like regardless of if you're in front of a camera or in the workplace, how do you keep your confidence and keep true to what you are doing and what you are creating? What's your advice for how other young women coming up in any industry can do the same thing?
I think it's really important to try to stay grounded and try to keep talking to people that aren't necessarily in the industry, but it's also important to talk to people that can relate to you. Like, I've reached out to a lot of other female streamers at times that, like, I needed advice, and then now I have a lot of people that reach out to me to ask about different things. But I think at the end of the day, it's just clear that the positives outweigh the negatives, so it's worth it.
And you are the #1 female streamer on Twitch right now, correct?
It's like subjective.
Okay, you're up there. You're in the top % of female streamers on Twitch. What do you think about your content or your personality brings people to you today? How have you generated that following?
Well, when I decided I wanted to try to start improving my stream a lot, I wanted to try to create an environment where people felt like they were having fun hanging out. So, I try to do like a big variety of things. Like, I'll just talk to people, we'll watch videos together, play different games, like go to events, go outside, meet people, have people over. Like, I just wanted to make a fun environment, basically.
Is there a favorite piece of content that you are creating right now or a favorite medium that you're working in?
Well, my favorite thing to do will always be to play games, but I mean, I love doing stuff. Like, I did a Red Bull flute talk recently, which is when you build like a craft that's supposed to fly. They literally push you off like a 15 to 30 foot ledge, and then you're supposed to fly. We did that recently, so I want to do more stuff like that.
How did that go?
We actually did okay. We flew like, I think 20 to 25 feet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you at least made it. You made it. You had some
Yeah,
airtime.
we didn't drop straight down like a rock.
I want to talk about the different platforms that you're on today. You're on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, really across the board in terms of social media.
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you do. What do these different platforms mean for how you're building your audience or the brand opportunities or business opportunities that you get from them? How do you use the platforms differently from one another?
Well, I personally use Twitter and Instagram and TikTok to just share my hobbies because I think, if every single platform is like a job, it might get kind of, it might be like a recipe for burnout. Like, you'll notice that most creators kind of just focus on one place, and the place that I like the most is Twitch because of the interaction. But the branding stuff and like the business stuff does work differently for every platform. But I do think that Twitch is probably like one of the harder ones to do.
And how come?
Because it's very, very top heavy. And then I feel like places like Instagram, TikTok, it's a lot easier to get yourself out there. Whereas Twitch, sometimes you just have to be lucky or know the right people, which can be very demoralizing for a lot of people.
Do you feel that burnout ever, especially being so in front of the camera, so front facing? Do you suffer with burnout?
Well, I'm definitely more of an introvert. So when I go out and do all these events, which I love doing, I wish I didn't get so burnt out. But when I have a lot of socializing, I do need time to just kind of, be alone and play games.
What do you feel like is the next phase of this like streaming and gaming environment? Are there any like platforms you're excited about or types of content that you think are really going to become popular within the next like 1 to 3 years?
Well, it definitely, seems like the kind of content people like to consume is shifting more to short form content.
Mhm.
And but I hope that people continue watching streams because I think that it's really fun. I feel like it's one of the only content creation mediums where like you kind of have to be there to really experience it, whereas everything else is like it doesn't really matter when it's posted or if it's reposted. But streaming is I feel like the closest thing to real life that you can get online.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. How does that impact how you come to the stream versus how you post on Instagram? Of course, we can all like sit on an Instagram post for
Oh yeah,
weeks before
exactly.
we hit publish.
Yeah.
So, how do you think about like what you are bringing to these different platforms, knowing that it's in real time in those cases?
Well, yeah, like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you can share like the perfect picture of yourself, but on stream, it's just you there for hours. Like people will see everything and like they'll eventually feel like they get to know you because I mean, you can't fake a personality for like, 12 hours a day every single day for years.
And what about your personality do you think draws people in today?
Mm, I feel like that I'm not really afraid to be kind of weird.
People love that.
Yeah.
Everyone is in some way. So being
hmm
able to find that community, I'm sure a lot of your audience members feel like comfort in that.
Yeah, I think so.
In terms of yourself as a businesswoman and as a brand, how are you thinking about what the future means for new opportunities or different forms of medium or something like signing with Red Bull? How are you what is your mindset around what's next for you and how to continue building your career?
Well, I really enjoy working with different brands like Red Bull because of the possibilities for collaboration.
Mhm.
So, whenever I'm thinking about working with a brand, I try to be selective and pick things that I feel like it's really a good fit because I don't want to work with a company and then, they're not happy with something that I make. Also, like it goes both ways.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's what I think about.
And within those brand deals, what does most of your content look like? Is it on a certain platform? Is it a specific type of content? What are you typically working with brands on?
I do a lot of like sponsored gaming streams.
Mhm.
My viewers are gonna think this is funny, but it'll basically just be like I'm showcasing the game, like,
Mhm.
hey guys, like we're gonna try this game today. It looked fun, and then like for things like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, I'll have a lot of companies reach out to me to cosplay their characters. Like if they're releasing a new character, they'll ask me to dress up as it, and it's pretty fun.
What's been the most like surprising or fun experience that you've had in these partnership opportunities?
Well, just recently, I went to Comic-Con and I worked with Marvel Rivals at their booth, and I got to meet a lot of the voice actors. Like, I
Mhm.
met the voice actor of Adam Warlock and Jeff the Shark and Winter Soldier, and that was really, really cool.
Do you prefer these in-person events, online stuff? Where do you feel like most comfortable and also where you're going to get the most out of for your career?
I definitely feel most comfortable when it's just me in my room with the camera, but I feel like I would get kind of bored if I weren't also going in real life and doing stuff. I just love, doing a mix of things and trying new things.
Totally. AI is obviously a big part of
Mhm.
content creation today, and there are many varying opinions about like what it means for content creators and how they're going to continue to, build their portfolio of work. How are you thinking about AI? How has it impacted your career?
Well, I mean, it's kind of scary, especially as a girl online.
Mhm.
AI can be very scary. Like I've already seen people make things of like friends saying like weird stuff that they didn't say and things like that. I literally just last night saw a video of someone in real time like deep faking someone else's like appearance onto them like for a stream. And yeah, it's just very very strange. It's hard to predict what's going to happen. Like I think AI has a lot of good uses, but then also a lot of ones that will completely change our lives that are very hard to predict and super scary.
Mhm. Are you using it at all for your own content?
No.
Okay. And do you plan to at all in the future?
I don't think so. Right now I'm gonna say probably not. But I mean it's interesting for sure seeing how it develops. But in terms of like content creator spaces and when it comes to streaming, especially for sure, I think that audiences of those types of communities really value authenticity. So I feel like AI doesn't have a huge place in there, but
Mhm.
I mean, who knows? It could happen.
Yeah. The word authenticity is like thrown around like for so many different industries, especially within the content industry. What does it mean to you like on a practical level? How do you bring like an authentic self to the camera or how do you build an audience that like truly does know who you are?
Well, I mean, literally just trying to be myself on camera. Like, when I first started streaming, I kind of felt like I had to act a certain way or people didn't want to see certain things. But then at one point, I kind of was like, okay, like if I want to stream more and do better, I'm going to have to just be myself. So I kind of started thinking of streaming as literally like hanging out with like my brother, hanging out with my best friend or something like that. And I feel like over time, I was kind of rewarded for that. And so
Mhm.
I always give that advice to other people, like just be yourself and, be as honest as you can when it makes sense.
Within the like chat rooms or getting, viewer feedback, like we mentioned before, there are some negative sides of that, but I'm sure
Mhm.
you also get some either ideas or inspiration or suggestions about how you can continue to grow. How have those, viewer interactions dictated what else you create? Has there been any like ideas that have sparked from it or ways that you've changed your content because people are asking for it?
Well, yeah, I'm always listening to my community. I think that that's so important. And then even with like, brands I've worked with, some brands are very stubborn and they don't really want to listen to like audiences or creators that they work with.
Mhm.
But I feel like the ones that I see that do, listen to feedback from their audience tend to thrive a lot better. But I mean, sometimes people don't know what they really want or they can be wrong. But I feel like in general, more creators and brands should listen to their audiences.
What have been some of your favorite brand campaigns that you've worked on?
Definitely working with Marvel Rivals. I really like Marvel as a brand, and
Mhm.
then I just think it's a really good game. And I've also done stuff with Elden Ring and From Software, and that was a really huge honor.
And you've also expanded outside of the gaming industry for some of these partnerships as well, things like Neutrogena or Essence. What have those partnerships looked like in comparison to the ones that are like so insular in the gaming community?
Well, from working with those companies, I was so pleasantly surprised because I feel like they were just so open and like they were just willing to experiment and try new things, whereas some other brands weren't.
Mhm.
And then, since I'm a girl and I like girly things, that was really cool.
You are also co-owner of OTK, which is a network of creators. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that platform looks like and why it exists?
Well, so OTK started as it was a bunch of friends, a bunch of guy streamers that basically got together and were like, okay, we're gonna try to, help each other out, boost each other up, and make a business out of this. And over time, OTK expanded into a bunch of smaller businesses, like Starforge PCs, which sells computers, Mad Mushroom, which is a game publishing company, and a couple other things as well. And yeah, I've just seen it develop a long time, and it's cool working with friends. But I mean, there's problems with that as well.
Yeah. So what are some of those problems or challenges that come with being a co-owner? Is there any roadblocks that you guys are having to overcome?
Well, when you do business with friends, there can always be, conflicts can be handled a certain way differently. Or when you're working together and relying on so many people, if someone, has something happen in their personal life or they're not able to do something anymore, then it's like you kind of lose a leg that you were
Mhm.
standing on. But I feel like at the end of the day, I would still rather work with friends and
Mhm.
people that I care about.
Being a co-owner, what are some of the skills that you've learned that you feel like have helped your, business knowledge, both within OTK, but also to keep creating your own things?
Well, since I started as, just basically a nerd playing League in my room, I feel like I've learned a lot of communication skills from all of those people.
Mhm.
So,
And what specifically, like, is it with employees? Is it with co-owners? Is it with your community? Where do you feel like that's come most handy?
definitely employees and work for sure. Like I have 4 or 5 of my own employees now. I have like a production person, or I have 2 production people actually. I have editors. I have assistants and things like that.
When do you think is the right time to start hiring? When in your journey did you?
When I started wanting to do big projects and I felt like I couldn't do it on my own, that's when I started looking around for people.
Do you ever have a hard time like giving up some of, what you want to have control over? Or how do you
Oh
find the
yeah,
people that you
I
trust?
hated it at first. Like I would always try to be doing my thing, and I literally had one of the people that works for me. She was like, "This is what you pay me for. Like just let me do it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess you're right."
There's a lesson in that, I guess.
Yeah.
You can delegate when you need to
Mhm.
to not get burnt out like you were speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
As you move into the future of your career, are you prioritizing one of these things over another, like being a co-owner and overseeing a conglomerate of things, still, creating your own content, doing more in-person things? Like, what is the plan for you and your personal brand moving forward?
I've definitely recently shifted more to, focusing on myself and creating content and being creative. because, I mean, as a lot of people know, doing business can be, very difficult or very stressful. But I definitely still want to keep working with brands and doing, stuff with the companies that I work with. But I think at the end of the day, I prefer being a creative and just streaming and having fun and hanging out with people.
What's your best piece of advice for up and coming creators today, especially young women who are entering the space?
I think being yourself is definitely the most important thing. Even if you feel like you see everyone else doing something different, if you just be yourself, eventually people that are like you will come and they'll be more drawn to that than people that, just see that you're trying to be like everybody else.
My last question for you, as part of the under 30 community, we obviously focus a lot on what youth means for all of our careers. How do you feel like it's impacted your career starting so young and still being so young in this industry? What does youth mean to you?
Well, there's times that it's pretty much nonstop. Like I'll fly to like 2 or 3 different places in a week and then also be doing streams. I'm grateful that I have the energy to do that, and I'm grateful that I get to meet so many cool and interesting people. Most of the streaming community, like the streamers, are I'd say like 20 to 35. So I'm about like in the middle of that age group, and yeah, it's just there's just so many interesting, cool people to meet that are talented in so many different ways.
And you have the energy to keep going and doing all the things.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so fun to hear about your whole career so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.